Hey everybody, hope you're doing great on this Wednesday night. We've made it to hump day. Now it's on coasting to the rest of the week. Here is the next in the series of weekly roundups. Tonight's topic is pets. This is the catch up from last week's topic at English at the Ready Club. So for my current students, this is catching you up on our most talked about vocabulary and our most discussed discussion questions. For everybody else, this is just a free series that I'm doing with a little bit of spicy vocabulary. So make sure you follow here to make sure we keep growing this little stream. But the purpose of this is to be just an additional free English lesson. I broadcast on Twitch and I interact with whoever shows up for the day. Sometimes some of my students stop by. More than likely what happens is I take this recording, I post it on YouTube, and the real conversation begins over on YouTube. Unfortunately, my chat commands aren't working again, but we can try exclamation point Discord. No, it's working. That's good. So exclamation point socials. Let's see if that works tonight too. That'd be fantastic. Hey, there we go. That's the YouTube link. Twitter link. Twitter and Instagram, I'm not really using effectively right now. I'm on it. I use it sometimes, but Instagram maybe is coming later. YouTube, definitely. Twitch, definitely. Discord, 100%. I post notes from each class on Discord. That's where the PowerPoints will be, so you can catch up on what we talked about if you missed it, or if you like to follow along with the video recording, have your own slides. In the future, I may start posting reference sheets, but that has more to do with me having time to do it. I don't know. Right now, I'm kind of pressed for time as it is. No map tonight, but that's all right. When you see the little map right about where my finger is, that little map, you can scan the QR code and you can click, just using your finger. Click on where you live, and it gives us a record of who's watching the stream, where you're watching from. Just a fun little visual representation. I'm a very visual person. I like to see things. So today's lesson, weekly roundup, pets. I'm Jacob, Rice JD. Some people say Reese JD. I say Rice because I lived in China and this name took on a whole different meaning. We say rice, and it just makes me laugh when someone says Rice JD. The word it comes from is a German word, Reisender. Reisender. My German's not great, but Reisender means traveler, and I've traveled quite a bit and used to enjoy very much a digital nomad lifestyle. What else do I need to say? Orders of business. You're looking for full-fledged lessons. You'd like to join an English club with like learners, good discussions each week, group classes, and master classes, combining all the information that we discuss, or combining basic English language learning with the discussion that we have in our chat group. This is a good place for you. English at the Ready Club. I'll talk about that later at the end. Pets. So there are two basic categories of animals. When I used to teach Chinese kids with VIP Kid, which was kind of a long time ago now, 2021, that whole situation changed. China introduced its double reduction policy in online education, basically cut out foreign experts who are working and teaching online from their home countries. Multiple reasons for this, lots of political reasons, some good reasons from within China, from China's perspective, but it sort of killed Bridge School Online as it was as an entity in China. And then I had to bring everything back to the US. I was working a little with VIP Kid, a lot. Actually, I taught 27,500 kids. So that's kind of, one day, maybe I'll tell this whole story. Maybe I'll take an entire podcast to sit and discuss, talk about what happened and how I got to that point. But that's outside of the scope of today. When I taught children, two basic categories of animals. We have pets and we have, well, I should say we have domestic animals, which are animals that are tamed and kept by humans for companionship, work, or food. The two categories of domestic animals are pets and farm animals. So these are the animals that humans care for, that provide us food, food. If we say the ooh, right? When I teach kids this, I always go ooh. And adults, it's a sound you can practice. Press your lips out, round them, ooh, food. But then when you get good at it, you'll notice when we speak, we usually don't say food. It sounds kind of silly. We say food, 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 food. You can practice moving your lips in and out, see where your sweet spot is for pronunciation. But pets and farm animals are the two main categories of domestic animals. The second basic category of animals is wild animals. So we have domestic and wild animals. Wild animals are animals that are not domesticated and live in their natural habitat. So when you go out into the wild somewhere, into a wild forest, the savanna in Africa, the Amazon rainforest, or some plain in Western China, it's the animal's wild habitat, wild animals. Domestic animals, again, are farm animals and pets. They stay with us in our homes. We build fences for them, or we watch after them as we herd them together and move them across the plains. Wild animals don't need us. When you go to a zoo, you might ask, is that a domestic animal or is it a wild animal? Sometimes it can be hard to tell because when animals are placed in zoos, some of them will take on elements or characteristics of domestication, but to say they're domesticated would be incorrect. They're wild animals living in a zoo habitat. So in the wild, their habitat is their natural living environment. It's where their food sources are. It's where their bodies have adapted to live, their habitat. In a zoo, you might call the area where they live a habitat. You might also see an animal in a cage, which is often a very sad thing to see. But fortunately, in most modern zoos, cages are not where animals live. It might be where they stay for a night while their other areas being cleaned, but a cage is only used for transport. A crate, C-R-A-T-E. I'll put both of these words in the chat. C-A-G-E, cage, and C-R-A-T-E, crate. These are used as secure transporting vessels for animals. It's a way to move them safely from point A to point B, and then they're released either into the wild or they're released into their zoo habitat. The zoo habitat might also be called an enclosure. An enclosure, it's surrounded on all sides by walls, but not usually a cage. It might look like fake rock, right? It's made to look like their natural or something that would occur in their natural habitat. Then the rest of the habitat would have some of the plants, some of the vegetation that they would normally see. It would give them a living space that would be similar to where they would live in the wild. So these habitat enclosures, you can use both words together and say it's a habitat enclosure is where an animal lives in a zoo, or you can say it's the animal habitat in the zoo, that's normal, or it's the animal's enclosure in the zoo. All of these words and the combination habitat enclosure, all of these work also. So two basic categories of animals, domestic animals and wild animals. There are two categories of domestic animals, pets and farm animals. Got it? Okay. In the doghouse, this is a very fun idiom. It's honestly one of my favorites. This is one that my family has said for a long time to one another. Basically, what this means is you're in trouble. When you are in trouble or in a situation where someone is angry at you, you're in the doghouse. You're in trouble with somebody. My wife, I could be in trouble with her and be in the doghouse. My kids, they can be in trouble with me and be in the doghouse. Maybe we get in trouble at work and we're in the doghouse with our boss or in the doghouse with one of our common customers or another employee. Can you all think of another idiom that means you're in trouble? In the doghouse, in what? A few weeks ago, I believe on the stream, we used the word on thin ice. This means you're almost in trouble. You're not quite there. You're very close to getting in trouble. If you do anything else, you won't be in thin ice, but you'll be in. We put lobsters in this when we cook them. We drop crabs in this when we cook them. In hot water. If you're in hot water, you're in trouble. So that's a similar idiom to in the doghouse. In the doghouse, why I like this one so much, it really takes on its full meaning when it's, you could say this with men to women, but when a woman says this to a man, you're in the doghouse, he gets scared. Oh no, what did I do wrong? I'm in the doghouse. Yeah, you're not sleeping with me tonight. Usually it's your girlfriend or it's going to be your wife. You're not sleeping with me tonight. You're sleeping in the doghouse with the dog. Don't even come to the bed this evening. You're outside in the doghouse with the dog, right? This is where it takes on its full meaning. And I mean, it's a funny idiom, right? It's serious. You're not in the house. You're not allowed in here. I don't want you here. Get out there with the dog in the doghouse. Where does this come from? I looked this up later in the week because I was curious where this came from. I didn't know. A lot of idioms have some foundation, somewhere that they come from. Sometimes it's ambiguous. It's not easy to say where it came from. Ambiguous means it's sort of in a gray area. Ambiguous, we're uncertain, we're not sure. Ambiguous. Forgot the end. Hold on. We use spell checker to my advantage. There we go. Ambiguous. 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 This idiom comes from one of my favorite childhood stories, one of my favorite childhood Disney animations. The origin is likely from James M. Barrie's 1904 play, Peter Pan. Who didn't love Peter Pan as a kid? I loved Peter Pan as a kid. Don't call me Peter Pan, because people did. For years, I'm 41 years old. I didn't get married till I was 36. I traveled a lot. And, you know, there's a long story behind this time period. It's not as simple as I said, hey, I'm going to drop everything in the US and just go travel and live abroad. It's a lot more complicated than that. But I did do my master's thesis, living and working in China. I did thesis research in China, in Western China, that maybe one day I'll talk more about in further detail, but I'm going to save that for some other time. Peter Pan. In the story, Mr. Darling, Wendy, Peter Pan's, called her his love interest. Sounds a little weird because we're talking about kids, but that's kind of how it always was. He loved this girl named Wendy. Mr. Darling, her dad, feeling guilty and ashamed after causing distress, is depicted as sleeping in the dog kennel, metaphorically showing his sense of remorse and the need for penance. Penance is to pay for his crimes, to pay for his sins. He made his daughter, he made his family feel bad, he caused distress, so he went to sleep in the doghouse with the dog. Correct me if I'm wrong, that dog's name was Nana, I believe. Nana the dog. Nana, the ever-watching, wonderful dog in Peter Pan. But I don't know, this made me smile pretty big when I saw that this is where this idiom comes from. In the doghouse. When you're in trouble or in a situation where someone is angry at you, possibly, likely, maybe, came from the Peter Pan play. Pretty neat, I think. All right, so this is a potentially very confusing abbreviation. Vets. What is a vet? Anyone who's watching now, take a second in chat. Let me know, what is a vet to you? When I say a vet or he's a vet, what do you think of? I'll give it a moment. And then same thing for you all watching on YouTube. You might want to pause the video here, think for a moment, and decide, okay, where have I heard this word? A vet. It's an abbreviation for something. A vet. One use, veterinarian. Veterinarian, so an animal doctor. It's a noun, a doctor who treats animals. A veterinarian, it's a lot easier to say a vet. A veterinarian, try saying it 10 times fast. Let me see if I can say it 5 times fast. Veterinarian, 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 veterinarian. Not so sure I got 3 of those, right? I feel like at number 2, it already was getting bad. Veterinarian, veterinarian. This word also, a lot of people will say veterinarian, veterinarian. Just be aware that they are saying veterinarian, veterinarian, even though it's veterinarian, veterinarian. They're cutting out this sound, making it sound like it's an RI instead of an ER. Veterinarian is a standard pronunciation, but veterinarian is a very, very common American pronunciation. Veterinarian, again, veterinarian, veterinarian, right? Hear the difference? Veterinarian, veterinarian. Veterinarian's the standard. This word, veteran. The other vet, a veteran. What is a veteran? A veteran, it's a noun. It's a person who has served in the military or had long years of experience in a field. So you could be a veteran doctor. You could be a veteran. You could be a veteran basket weaver. You have a lot of experience weaving baskets, right? My mother-in-law, she's a veteran color. Yeah, she's a veteran crocheter. Okay, well, I can't. I think that's an amazing skill. She can make a lot of things. But if you do something for a long time, you're a veteran at doing something like this. I'm a veteran at teaching English. I've been teaching English for a long time now, much longer than I ever thought I would. But again, I love it. And I hope that this comes across in these videos quite well to you. But it's often when you hear this in society, they mean it as a person who served in the military. Either the person's a veterinarian, an animal doctor, or a veteran that served in the military. This can be someone, so it can be an active veteran. You'll hear that sometimes. They're active, which means that they are still in the military, but they have seen combat or they've been deployed they've been deployed on deployment. They've been deployed to a location. That's probably fine to say. Or they're a person who has seen combat or been a member of the military, been a military recruit. No, what's the word I want? They've enlisted. They've enlisted in the military formally. Someone who has left the military is a veteran. You'll hear about the Department of Veteran Affairs. Veterans are given preferential treatment sometimes. Veterans get, when I say preferential treatment, I mean they're given bonuses or gifts. If you go to Chick-fil-A on Veterans Day, you get a free chicken sandwich. If you go, there's a barbecue restaurant nearby also that's, what is the name of that place? I can't remember, right? Mission Barbecue near us in Virginia. It's really good barbecue. But anyway, this place is veteran owned. And on Veterans Day, they give away free food. They have usually some supporting local companies that give them maybe free desserts, or they give them free sodas and things for people to try. It's a big event. It's a big ordeal. And veterans, we respect them for time they gave in serving us in our country, giving their time in the military. So again, veterinarian, a vet, a veteran, also a vet. All right, any questions so far? Looks like we're okay in chat. Good. We're not too busy in chat. You know, if you're watching this on YouTube, this is one of the early videos, and every once in a while we have 3 or 4 people stop in and watch and talk away, but more often than not, people are watching the YouTube videos, and I'm trying to get my students to comment and talk there because they all want to talk to me using Kajabi. We use Kajabi communities as our school or education platform right now, and I get a lot of messages after these videos in Kajabi. I'm like, guys, help me out on that YouTube. Comment there. So if you're watching the video, comment on YouTube, because that's going to help this spread to more people and have it be seen, and our community will grow that way. And our English at the Ready Club hopefully would grow too at that time. Questions of the week. Would you prefer to adopt or buy an animal? Maybe adopt or to buy an animal? Let me go ahead and fix that right now. Not an animal. I think I went from saying, would you prefer to adopt or buy animals, to would you prefer to adopt or buy an animal? I like saying one. It's more likely we'll buy one and not a bunch of animals at the same time. Unless maybe it's some My fist. Most people this week said they would prefer to adopt. They prefer to adopt because when you adopt an animal, you're not just giving it a home to live in, you're saving a life in a lot of cases. These animals, when they go to an animal shelter, that's the place where they go when they are not wanted, when they are found as a stray animal. I'll put that in chat too. Animal shelter and stray animals. Stray animals can be let out of the house. They could be animals that ran away from a house, or they could be a wild dog or wild cat that was born in the wild but is wandering around a city, right? If they're out in the woods, a forest, a jungle, we'll say it's a wild cat population or it's a wild dog population out there. But when we see them in cities, we'll often call them stray. Stray means that they strayed away from their home, which again, sometimes they're put outside, sometimes they are, well, they're let go, or sometimes they run away and they become stray. That's the more technical use of the word stray. If it's a wild cat, it's a wild cat. We call it a wild animal. But it's a wild, formerly domesticated, or it's a wild animal bred from domesticated, formerly domesticated, now wild animals. That makes sense? It's sort of a loose term for an animal found wandering around a city. But when you adopt an animal, you get them out of the animal shelter, and it gives them a chance at a new life with a new family. When animals stay in shelters for too long, and each shelter is a little bit different, 6 months, a year, sometimes longer, if the animals are lucky, longer, a few years even, before maybe they're adopted. But if they're not adopted, then they are put to. This is the nice way of saying they are kindly killed through an injection. Given a needle with an IV, and they slowly just fall asleep. And then after they fall asleep, their system, as we say, their organs begin to shut down. They die. This is also called euthanasia. Euthanasia. Not an easy one to spell. Euthanasia. Euthanasia. The verb for this is to euthanize. To euthanize is the verb. The V beside that. To euthanize. This is again what we do to animals when we want them to have a humane and quiet, comfortable death. They could be very sick. I euthanize them because they're sick. We could euthanize them because they're dangerous. That happens sometimes. Often when they're dangerous and you have to end its life, we'll say we put the animal down. So you could say put down, you could say put to sleep. Put to sleep is the nicest, kindest way of saying this. So when you adopt an animal, you keep it from being put to sleep and you save its life. Adopt an animal, save a life. Some people said they prefer buying animals because they have a specific animal they want to know its pedigree, its lineage. We talked about genetics. I did a practical genetics lesson for our club. What was it, 3 weeks ago now? Talked about Mendelian genetics. And this is something very commonly talked about when you talk about animal pedigrees, mixing certain animals, certain traits, either a physical trait or a personality characteristic, to breed, to get babies, to get puppies or kittens with those traits also. The same goes for horses or any other domestic animal that we breed, and we try to get a certain outcome. We hope, hey, it has that beautiful brown coat or that special green eye that this puppy has. Whatever the characteristics you're looking for, you breed for them. So you can get a more specific animal, an animal that looks the way you want it to look, and it's purebred. It follows a lineage of animals that act or look the way that it does. But if you can find an animal that looks similar to the one you want at an animal shelter, my personal feeling, that's what I would do. If I could find an animal like what I want at an animal shelter, I would take that animal, adopt, and save a life. But if I couldn't, and it's possible because if we want a certain kind of dog, we might not find it. It might be a dog that's in high demand. Everybody wants a dog. So everyone's watching this. Good thing is that type of dog will always find a home. Bad thing, well, maybe we have to buy a dog. from a breeder, which is, again, less preferable, but you do get a puppy. You can watch it grow up and you can train it from its young days to its older days. There's some benefit in that too, and it's, to each his own. It's up to personal opinion at that point. Second question of the week: what do you think is the most difficult part of a veterinarian's job? So I did an interview with one of my good friends who is a veterinarian, Dr. Jessica. This is something that we're only showing in the club. So if you're a member of the club, fantastic. You get to watch it. It's an hour-and-a-half discussion about veterinary medicine in the United States. It was a fantastic interview. I learned a lot from it. And when I can sit and watch an interview that I do again and feel good about it, it means it was a good interview. So this one was a good one. I can watch it and I can still enjoy it and catch things that I forgot that she said and learn from it. So what she said, the most difficult part of a veterinarian's job, what do you think it? Before I say what it is, what do you think it might be? Most people would say that they think it's putting animals to sleep. It's ending their lives. What she said was interesting, but I feel like a few people would still guess that this is what she might say. She said it's not putting animals to sleep. The most difficult thing for her is talking to the family that has to put the animal to sleep. In a specific case, there was an old man who, and this happens a lot too, but his wife had passed away years before, and then this dog was their dog. So the memory of his wife was directly tied to this dog, and the dog was very sick, and they could possibly do a surgery. Animal health insurance is expensive in the US. Animal treatment is even more expensive in the US. The benefit of the treatment might have been a few more months of the animal's life. The animal might live a few more months. The animal would not get better if the animal was treated, if they had the surgery. So the man made the very difficult decision of putting his beloved dog that he shared with his former wife, he was a widow, he's a widower. For a male, we call them a widower. For a female, we call them a widow when their spouse dies. You can see I'm getting a little sad talking about it because I can just imagine the situation, and it would be hard to counsel this man because you're not just putting his animal to sleep, you're also counseling him to get through what he's having to do. It's heartbreaking. Think about that. That's what she said the hardest part of her job is, putting an animal to sleep. That is the last living memory of someone's former spouse. And I mean, I don't think that's hard to imagine at all, why that's so difficult. But again, anyway, you all, we're doing great on time. This one was about perfect. I like these to be right at 30 minutes. If people are talking in chat, I've gone up to an hour and a half. So, we're not really held to a time limit. But again, make sure you are following. If you're not following, you'll be able to catch next week's spicy vocabulary. And if you're looking, let's switch over to my talk box here. If you're looking for more consistent, longer term, more traditional English classes, look right here. English at the Ready. Go to englishattheready.com. You will see there's a forum to contact us, and there's a little video. There should also be a little questionnaire too about your interest in English and what you would like to learn. But you can go there, or you can check out English at the Ready on Instagram. My partner, Michael Anton, is constantly creating videos for his Instagram audience. And a lot of them are very good short form teaching videos, 30 seconds to a minute and a half of discussion about one specific word or a simple topic. There's just a lot of really good info on that Instagram page. My Instagram, I don't really have time to work on it, to be quite honest. Same with my YouTube. I'll post this video along with, Monday night's video on friendships and relationships. I'll post that tomorrow. I'm not going to do it tonight. I'm too tired. After I finish this, I'll turn off the camera, turn off the lights. I'm going upstairs to do anything else other than teach English or sit in front of the camera. On Wednesdays, I do this from 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. And now it's 10:30 p.m. I'm ready for my day to end. It has to end sometime. But again, English at the ready for more traditional lessons. The Discord, I'm always active on Discord. You can always ask questions there. Send me a direct message. Join the Discord. There are channels in the Discord that you can use to communicate with me, communicate with each other, see the PowerPoints, the PPTs, slide decks, whatever terminology you want to use for those nowadays. Those will all be posted there. I'm a little behind on those too. I need to remember to go back and post all those. But I'm trying to keep the YouTube up. Tomorrow, this video and Monday's video will be on YouTube. And I think that's it. Bridge gaming. We play a few games here on the weekend nights. I do this for fun. I just do it for fun. It helps me keep all these things you see on screen I've designed. It helps me keep my design skills, my motion graphic skills up to date as much as I possibly can. My excuse to learn, right? So again, please use these shorts. 30 minutes. I'm not sure how short this actually is, but use these short classes as a free way to learn, improve your English. Feel free to ask questions. I will get back to you unless there are just too many questions, but I don't foresee that happening anytime in the near future. All right, you all. Take care. It is Wednesday night. Have a good rest of your night. You're over the hump for hump day. Downhill for the rest of the week. I hope the rest of the week is good. I'll see you all Sunday for our weekly roundup, Sunday night at 8:30, 9 o'clock. For gaming, Friday night, Saturday night, at least until the summer begins. I may make some changes to my gaming stream schedule in the summer because, well, kids are home and there's a whole lot of stuff. Anyway, take care. Good night. I'll see you guys soon.